This is Jock from Cool Movie Reviews, and I am back again with another review for a slow show slash movie back in the day. Stay tuned. You ain't gonna want to miss with this one. Cue that intro. All right, I'm back again, guys. And like you said, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I've been kind of MIA for a while because I've been kind of sick. So I'm back and intact, back on my thing. And we here, man. We here. But if you've seen the thumbnail, you know what I'm reviewing today. It's The Best Man, the final chapter, right? So get them on, sit down, get you some popcorn, have a seat, bring your opinions because this is going to be a interesting topic. So let's get it cracking, man. Let's get it cracking. And like I said, if you're new to my channel, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share the video. But this is the sequel. Well, yeah, you can say like the sequel to The Best Man Holiday. So it was really originally back in 99, you had The Best Man. Then in 2013, you had The Best Man Holiday. And now this is quote unquote the final chapter. And this has followed our characters, man, from, and I can just real quick, if you're new to The Best Man, which you got people that are not, and you got people that are, right? Because you probably have a younger generation that didn't never really see The Best Man, so they don't know who these people are. So you got Melissa D. Sosa as Shelby, Morris Chestnut as Lance, Nia Long as Jordan, Tay Diggs as Harper, Sanaa Lathan as Robyn, Terrence Howard, what's up, man? As Quentin. You got Candace as Regina Hall. You got our boy Murch, who is here played by Harold Pernuni. I butchered your name, bro. We got newer cast members in here, like Demetrius and everything. So, but that's our main core and our main cast that we follow from the first movie to the second movie, now to this show. So how I'm gonna do this review? It's gonna be the first half is gonna be basically like the non-spoiler review, and then the second half is going to be the spoiler review and getting into the meat and potatoes of certain things and certain topics that's been coming up on social media that I've noticed, right? And some of the things that I can relate to and other people can relate to, right? So let's get into first what I liked about this show. The writing on this show is amazing, okay? And the guy that did the writing was Malcolm D. Lee. This brother, man, he's wrote on numerous movies. He did the original Best Man, Undercover Brother, Roll Bounce, Welcome Roscoe Jenkins, Soul Man, Scary Movie 5, now The Best Man Holiday, and then then this new one, The Last Chapter. This brother knows how to write, okay? And I think I was impressed on the writing in this particular show, and it's not a movie, it's a show, and I'm glad they broke it into an 8-episode show, because if this was a movie, it'll have all types of issues. You can't make a 2.5 hour, or 2-hour movie with this as much content. It had to be a show, and I appreciate him doing that. And how he wrote these characters is almost like if you've ever watched the sequel from another movie, it can be to where, like Netflix does this a lot. They'll come out with a show like Stranger Things, and they won't come out with the next season until 3 or 4 years later, and you're having to binge watch the original show or the first season to figure out what's going on in the second season, because they don't write it in a way where it makes sense, if that makes sense, right? Well, what Malcolm did was he wrote it in a way where it's almost like we didn't leave these characters. The last movie we had was 2013, guys, and I think that was 10 years ago. 2013, all right? So in 2013, he wrote it and sped it up to now, and it almost felt like, okay, we just stopped watching the movie in 2013 and pick it up now, and I didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat with the characters. Didn't miss a beat with the story. I was like, bravo, bro. Bravo to him of the writing. The writing was amazing. And how he wrote the characters, he wrote them in a way where he closed some stories, and he wrote it in a way where some stories made sense. And then he wrote it in a way where it started some conversation, right? And I'll get into that in a minute in my spoiler discussion. So shout out to the writing on this show, man. Malcolm did a very good job. Another thing too, I like the vibe of the show, right? And what I mean by the vibe, sometimes when you have older characters from the 90s playing in these newer sitcoms or newer movies or anything, they're trying to be this hip new thing, right? And what I noticed with these characters was it was almost like in watching real life people in real life just grow up and grow with the times, right? But they still had the essence of the 90s, right? Their first movie was made in 99, right? They still had that vibe. There was a vibe to it that I'm like, okay, this still feels like a nostalgic thing from the 90s and the 2013s. This still has that same feeling, because certain things, when certain writers write certain things, they try to put a hipster type style to it, a cool type style to people that are like, okay, their vibe is the 90s. Why are we trying to push them into the 2022s to make them where they're trying to change their whole image? And they did a very good job at just keeping up with the times and how they did it. And a lot of stuff made sense. I was like, I like that. It's pretty cool. Another thing that I like about this show was I didn't get bored, if that made sense, right? 8 episodes. I think it was like 50 to 53 minutes an episode. And I didn't have one episode where I was bored or detached or looking at my phone. He had me engaged, and they had me engaged the whole entire series. And I said, this is dope. That's rare to do, because you might have 1 or 2 episodes that are filler episodes, or 1 or 2 episodes that are just there to just to kill time, right? So that's some of the things that I liked. Now, some of the things I didn't like, because it was some small critiques that I had with this particular series. There was some writing. Now, I praise the writing on here, but I do got to criticize Malcolm on this. There was some open-ended storylines in here that was never closed. Some things that was visited, but we don't know what happened, right? We visited it, we talked about it, but in the same breath, we never revisit what happened to this individual, this character, or what happened to this particular storyline, or what happened here, right? And I think it might have been done on purpose. It could have been done on purpose to hopefully, or not to say hopefully, but to open up a season 2, maybe. I don't know, right? But some things were open-ended, and I'm like, well, we didn't revisit this. We should have revisited this particular topic, or that particular situation, or this particular situation. So I do critique them on that. And I think that's about the only, and another thing too, well, that's not really a critique. I won't even say that, man. I'll say this. Malcolm and the writers and the directors did a very, very good job of just certain things. So, like I said, we're about to get into our spoiler review. Now, real quick, I do this in my reviews. I give MVPs of the series or the movie or whatever. My MVP, I'm giving it to 2 people, okay? And just acting wise, I'm gonna give them to they acted they butts off. Was Morris Chestnut, right? His character. Lance acted his butt off. Morris Chestnut is a hell of an actor anyway, but his range is amazing, okay? Amazing. I said, shout out to that brother, man. And then Harold Murch, I got to give him an MVP too as well. He acted his butt off. I'm not saying everybody else did that, because everybody else did a good job, but those 2 to me stuck out with their acting and how they were dialing it in, and how they were taking this particular role serious. You can tell the whole cast had fun, right? And then I got to get an honorable mention to Shelby. Shelby, man, I've always liked her. She's a firecracker, but she gets an honorable mention from me. I liked her. She was funny. So my final score on this series, if I'm gonna give it I usually do 1 out of 10. I'm actually going to give this a 8.5 out of 10. Like, this is how much I enjoyed this series, man. It was pretty solid. It was pretty dope. So, let's get into spoilers, man. Let's get into spoilers talk. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to take it by couple, okay? So, first I'm going to start with Lance. Not Lance. I'm going to start with Shelby and Quentin, okay? So, we know in The Best Man and The Best Man Holiday, we know Quentin is messy. He's been messy since the first movie, okay? He was the one that kind of sparked off the fight between Lance and Harper, right? So, in this series, Quentin was actually supposed to be marrying Nicole Ari Parker's character, but he kind of figured out that he didn't really love her. And then Shelby's crazy self ended up popping up at the wedding, at the resort. I think it was in Jamaica. She ended up popping up. And, when them 2 get together, that's all they like to do is to mess around and do what they do. So, you're sitting back like, okay, he told the crew, like, man, I just messed around with Shelby. And then he come to realize that I really like Shelby. So, one thing I like that they did, those two have always been messy, but to bring them together and actually have them marry each other and then to see how their dynamic is, they fit. I looked at them as almost like the comedy relief of the show. Just both of them being silly. But one thing I did like is when Quentin did have his heart attack, Shelby really, 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 you could tell she really loved him, but she really, really loved him in that particular situation. It scared her so bad that he didn't understand what she was trying to do, was trying to make sure it didn't happen again. And with Quentin is so used to controlling his narrative and just doing what he wants, that it's the first time in life that he had to sit down and not drink, not smoke, eat right? And Shelby's trying to help him to get there, but he wasn't listening, and he was frustrated. And you get it, when somebody's sick, when you're trying to offer help, they tend to get angry. And he said some messed up stuff about her, man. And she hung in there like a dog, which I knew she wasn't going to leave him, because that's the thing. He's like, well, you can leave, you can go ahead and do it. And I'm like, Shelby's not going nowhere. She loves that man too much, right? So I respect their dynamic and their relationship. Now, one thing I will say that kind of pissed me off, and I didn't realize this, is when Harper had his little moment and he spilled the beans about Shelby hiding their daughter from him from I think it was like 15 years. She had a daughter by Quentin and didn't even tell him, right? How often does that happen? It happens a lot. And so when I look at that situation, I was like, oh man, that's kind of jacked up, man. That was not kind of, that is jacked up, right? So I criticized Shelby on that. I'm like, Shelby, come on, why did you do that? You see what I'm saying? So again, those two always tend to be the couple or the people, individuals that kind of know things before anybody or see things before anybody. So I'm gonna end with them two, man. They were like the comedy relief. I like them, so it was pretty dope. Next, I'm gonna go to Murch and Candace. Now, what I took from this whole series is three things: self-care from both men and women, right? And we know it's preached from a woman's perspective a lot. Women need self-care, self-care, self-care. Also, men in this show, I realized that we need self-care as well. We need self-care. We need to figure out, hey, how to sometimes relax, right? So with their relationship, I believe Candace has been a stay-at-home mom for a while, and she wants to find her purpose in life, right? She wants to do something different. She wants to continue her education and this and that. And so Murch, being a good husband, he decided to take a back seat. Hey, I'm going to take a back seat. I'll play the mom, dad, if that's basically what he was doing, right? To play the mom, dad, and I'm going to take care of the kids, send them to school, do this, do that, cook and clean, fold the clothes, blah, blah, blah. And he started realizing that this is not what I want to do, right? I'm trying to figure out my purpose in life as well. And so with their relationship, what I seen was two couples that have let life kind of spread them apart, because I think he wasn't even having sex. They weren't even having sex. And I think that was frustrating them. And then she's so caught up in her studies and stuff, and she's not paying any attention to him. And he's not getting respect from anybody, right? So his homeboys don't respect him. His wife don't respect him. His kids don't respect him. When Harper did the movie, if you remember in the movie premiere, and even when they showed the trailer for the movie, he portrayed Murch as a pushover. Murch was a pushover. He was a pushover. He's the nerdy guy that everybody pushes over and doesn't respect. And Murch was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. And when Murch took up MMA, or really it was just for exercise at first, but you can tell he was angry. And there's a lot of people out there that are like that, right? That's pushovers, that they're quote-unquote push-ups, and they have a breaking point. And he reached his breaking point, right? He found his passion, which was kind of crazy to write it as MMA. But I was like, hey, do your thing, right? And I said, wow. I said, okay. I said, that's interesting. And then we go to Candace, right? Candace is trying to figure out, hey, I want to finish school. I want to make something. I want to do something, right? I want to elevate myself, right? I've been at home with these kids. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I'm tired of doing that. With her, she got caught up in the school aspect too much, right? And I get what she was trying to do. She's trying to make sure everything is straight, right? Now, the professor. Let's talk about the professor. When I was looking at this, I kind of knew. When I was looking, I said, the professor don't seem right. I said, something's off with this dude. And I said, his intentions look kind of, but he's an older man, so you wouldn't expect it. And they wrote it in a way where it's like, damn, he sexually assaulted her. Oh, excuse me, YouTube. Sexually assaulting her. I'm like, wow, okay, interesting, right? Interesting turn of events. So again, I looked at him. I said, nah, he don't seem right. And then when he did what he did, and she was afraid to tell anybody, and she felt a certain way because she wanted to come home and tell Murch. But at the time, their dynamic wasn't on the same accord. Those two were not on the same page. Those two were not there, right? And so she at that point in time, she felt alone. She felt alone. She felt alone in that situation. She's like, I want to tell my husband, but he has his own issues and his own things going on. So with them, with their whole dynamic, what I respected was Murch. What I respect from Murch. Murch finally got sick and tired of it. He told Quentin off, and then he eventually told Harper off. And I said, okay, that's good. You're taking up for yourself. You're picking it back. And something I noticed too in this whole series is kids and respect. None of those kids really respected. Besides Harper and Robyn's daughter, she's younger, right? She respected them, but those other kids, they didn't respect their parents like that. Now, Morris Chestnut's kids, Lance's kids, his kids did, but I noticed I said, Murch's daughters really don't respect him, right? One has anxiety, the other one is they're girls, okay? So I'm like, and then when he came in, he said, F them kids. I said, oh, yeah, he's frustrated. I said, he's frustrated. He's looking for respect. He feels like nobody respects him. So for him to get that respect, his way was fighting in MMA. And I said, shout out to that brother, man. He did his thing. Another thing too, what I liked about them, I believe their arc came and they ended up with their relationship coming full circle. I said they came full circle. They had the best communication out of everybody, and they were able to salvage their relationship. And I feel like their story, Murch won and she won in the end of the day, right? With those two. I look at them two as a couple, which is funny because Candace used to be a stripper back in the day, and she's a stay-at-home mom, which was funny. So, hey, shout out to them. Next we're gonna go to Lance, all right? And I'm saving the best. I'm saving the best for last because this is a hell of a topic. I'm gonna come to Lance next. Now, Lance, of course, we know Mia died in the Best Man holiday. And I still don't agree with that. I still didn't agree with that writing. I don't know what the deal was, what the issue was, or why they wrote her character to die, but she died, right? So what I noticed with him is somebody that's grieving and somebody that doesn't want to love anymore. And so he was having sex with a bunch of women. Now, shout out to his homeboys because they were trying to put him on game. Hey, man, you can't be doing this. Are you having unprotected sex? And he was there, yeah. Bruh, don't do that, right? So, as like I said, shout out to him. But when they was on the resort in Jamaica and he was talking to the one young lady, I said, okay, I see where this is going. Kind of predictable, but I see where it's going. They're going to end up being together at the end of this thing. And she kind of is willing to listen to him and everything like that. Now, the storyline between him and his son, that was very interesting, right? When I seen that, I said, okay, I see what they're doing. It's real life, right? That is legit real life. Where I knew probably episode 2 when his son was playing football. I said his son don't want to play football. I said something's off with his son. And when he was smiling at Jordan, I said something's off with his son. Something seems to be where this kid is either gay, right? Or something's just off. He's not himself. And what in that particular storyline, it shows you where Lance had to change his thinking because Lance not educated on the new way of doing things in life, right? This is the real world. Non-binary, all this other stuff, right? If you agree, you agree. You don't, you don't. It is what it is, right? And so I think that could have been written in a different way. But they wrote it in a way, whatever, right? They always, in these new shows and these movies, guys, you're going to have to realize that there's going to be some type of agenda somewhere, right? It just is what it is at this point. And it makes shows and movies kind of unwatchable sometimes. But with my movie mind and my critic mind, I said, okay, I get it. He's writing it in a way where it's real life. And what would you do in that situation? And what I looked at, I said, okay, would he love him in that situation or would he shun him? And Morris Chestnut, I already knew. I said when everybody was hiding from him, I said Lance he about to blow, bro. He's about to blow a gasket because he's this football player. He's not used to it, and it kind of reminded me of the D Wade and the Magic Johnson thing, because those two have sons that have transitioned, right? And how do you deal with that? And once it really hit him is when they couldn't find LJ. They couldn't find him, and I think that's when Lance kind of started realizing, like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to change the way I think. So respect to him. You know what I'm saying? Respect to him to where he accepted his son and everything like that. So I say with Murch and Candace, they won. But at the end of the day, the happy ending went to Lance because he ended up getting with the Jamaican lady. And I think you could say they're married, right? You could say they're about to get married. So shout out to them. Let me see. So we're gonna go to Jordan next. Okay, Jordan is the friend that you keep away from your husband. Okay, Jordan is messy. All right, she's hella messy. I like Jordan, but in the same breath, Jordan is a cautionary tale of when you put your career first, and she's been doing that since the freaking first movie. You put your career first, and you don't focus on trying to start a family or whatever, because she's career driven, like super career driven, then things happen. She was upset because she couldn't she wanted to be pregnant. She wanted to have a family. She wanted to have a baby. Didn't happen, right? And she's damn near, they kept talking about menopause. So she was damn near menopause age, right? So again, when you sit back and you think about it, you're like, wow, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of women out there like that, right? And she's a cautionary tale. Now, the trifecta between her, Harper, and Robyn, okay? Now, going back, and this is why I say this is writing on this show was amazing, because it's making me go back to watch The Best Man. I'm going to go out back and watch The Best Man. Harper and Robyn were never compatible. Jordan and Harper were compatible, okay? When those two got together, their conversation was, they both let their guard down. They both on the same level. They both have these certain styles of conversations that is different, right? And I'm going to get into Robyn and Harper here in a minute, okay? And so Jordan, being messy, she knows Harper's married, okay? You and Harper have slept around before. You need to keep this at a friendship level. But again, the compatibility thing comes into play. You're not compatible, bruh. From the beginning, they weren't compatible. You see what I'm saying? So with Jordan being messy, her messing with Demetrius, right? She messing with Demetrius. Again, she's just out here doing her thing, willy-nilly. Do your thing, right? Do your thing. Now, I'm going to come back to Jordan. But now I'm about to talk about Robyn and Harper. All right. With these two, again, they were never compatible. These two should have never got together in the damn first place, okay? But in the original one, you're like, okay, they found love. He want to marry her, blah, 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 blah. But in this particular series and shows, there was a couple of things that I noticed, okay? Now, I noticed two people that are not on the same page. Harper is a career-driven man that wants to make sure his family is set generationally, right? The house situation came up. He wants to move. She don't want to move, all right? Now, as a man, as a husband, you like, hey, compromise, right? What he should have did in that situation, he should have said, hey, Robyn, how do you truly feel, right? Do you really want to move? Do you really want to do this, right? And Robyn kind of gave him hints by her actions, saying, well, I don't know. She kept saying, I want to stay in Brooklyn. Evidently, he doesn't know that, right? Evidently, he didn't know that. He didn't know that from what he's saying. You see what I'm saying? So with Robyn should have did a better job at communicating and being transparent from the beginning, right? She could have easily said, hey, Harper, look, we not doing this. I can't. I feel that she tried to tell him, but she didn't tell him in the right way, because the way that Taye Diggs' character Harper was written in this show, in this series, he was monotone. He was tone deaf. And I think that it was Malcolm wrote his character in that way on purpose. Because even in The Best Man, he was kind of like that. But in this one, I really was like, he's like, yeah, Yeah, I was like, he's hella tone deaf. And I'm like, and I think they did it on purpose to where they want to make you sympathize with Robyn more than him. But I understood what he was trying to do. I understood that he was trying to take care of his family. But he also let his work and let the movie part of getting the movie script and getting the book written, he let that kind of take over his marriage, and he wasn't paying attention to his wife. Now, again, with him, he's very selfish. He was selfish from the first. When you go back and really look at The Best Man, he was selfish for writing that book. Okay, Quentin was messy for for telling what happened. Like, hey, this was based off of us, bro. He slept with your soon to be wife. You need to go get him, right? But Harper is selfish in a way where you didn't really consult with them from the beginning, even from the beginning when The Best Man happened. Hey, I'm about to write a book. It's about our life, y'all. This is what it is, okay? And even with the movie, when he did the movie, yeah, he quote unquote asked his homies, hey, is it okay if I do this? And they was like, yeah. Even with Murch didn't want him to do that. That's him being selfish, right? Again, he's being selfish again when it comes to the situation with Robyn. Bro, you want to do this. You want to move out of Brooklyn and you want to move into these new brownstones. Not her. She don't want to do this. You want to do that, right? So he does have some selfish tendencies to him, right? Now, again, I'm going to get to, because I got a question at the end in a minute here. Who is the biggest villain of this show? And I'm going to give you my answer. Now, I want to go to his when I say earlier in the review when I said there was some open-ended things that was never answered, okay? Now, Robyn was doing some sneaky things too. Robyn wasn't innocent in this thing at all. Robyn uses the excuse of my husband doesn't know who I am and this is, and she ended up talking because she was ultimately talking to the guy at the African stand that would hook him up. This dude done came to her house, brought heaters, done been around their kid. I remember when she was trying to help her buy the little speakeasy, the little building, but Harper didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? Well, let me say this. He didn't want to do it, quote unquote, but he took his time in doing it. So he didn't jump right away to help her do it. Okay? Now, when you wrote it, we didn't revisit it. What happened with that situation? Did Robyn pursue that guy? Were they still talking? What happened? Another situation where I've had an issue with, I was questioning him, like, okay, what happened? Was when Quentin's dad, he found out he was sick. Like, oh, he's sick? Okay. Well, he's sick. What does he have? What is he sick? Is he still alive? Because one thing they did a lot in this show, they did a lot of jumping around with time. I'm like, okay, 2 months here, 3 months here, 2 years later, 1 year later. I'm like, okay, the time is all over the place. Where are we at? We don't know what happened. That's another thing. I'm like, what happened to his father? Is his father still alive? Did he sell the company? Because he was trying to sell the company. His dad was pissed off. We didn't revisit that. All right. Now, just wanted to bring that up real quick. The biggest villain of this series, all right, and I'm sticking to it. I know a lot of people gonna have something to say about this, but to me, I feel like the biggest villain of this series was Robyn. Okay, and why I say Robyn is because Robyn was not appreciative. Okay, and so people be like, well, yeah, she was appreciative. No, Robyn was not appreciative. Okay, so when I looked at Robyn wanted to be a chef. Harper made sure that happened, right? He said, okay, babe, I'll help you. Definitely, right? Did that. All right, cool. Then turn around. Robyn wanted to, she wants to give back to charity, back to the community. Okay, it's fine. We can do that. I'll help you do that, right? He's helped to do that. Then you turn around after he did that. Then you get mad at him because the energy's not there. He's not on your same page because ultimately she's more of an Afrocentric type of person. She's all about black. She wants to be around her people. She wants to go back to the motherland. Harper is more of a corporate dude. He's more of, hey, I'm going to do it this way. I think we should do it this way. I think we should go and do it this way. You see what I'm saying? So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow, this is interesting. I see a relationship here where some appreciation is not being appreciated. Now, again, shout out to Malcolm because he ended up he ended up writing it in a way where you sympathize with Robyn, right? He wrote it in a way where if you looking at the show, she's redeemed herself because that was still messed up what she was doing, right? She before Harper even did anything with Jordan, when they went to that market and Candace was like, "Oh, who is this? Oh, I see why you come to this market all the time." Wink, wink. Oh, okay. I'm like, hold on. I'm sitting there looking at the TV. I'm like, oh, I'm like, is she talking to Buddy? And then their energy, and then she even kind of slipped. He gets me. He got this, and then his intentions were he already knew. He was like, oh, I'm about to swing in here and do my thing. That happens more often than you think, right? In couples, in marriages, things kind of grow apart, right? And then that person gets to talking to that person. It's just a casual conversation. Oh, he doesn't mean a hella beans. He's my friend. No bad intentions, right? He's my mentor. He's this. He's that. We're just talking. All of a sudden, his intentions are not like that. And that was a theme in this movie, too. The professor, right? The guy at the stand. Jordan, right? The intentions are good. We're just friends. We're just conversating. We're just we're just having intimate. He gets me. The energy's there, right? And then that energy turns into something else and something deeper, right? And then all of a sudden you end up cheating on your spouse. So that's the thing with this. That's why I'm saying Robyn. And then I think the icing on the cake is when she took the daughter to Ghana. And I think that really ticked me off because I'm like, Robyn, and I know you can visit or whatever, but I'm like, Robyn, really? Really we doing that? We just going to take our child to Ghana? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow. And I think that did it for me. I said, nah, Robyn is on some weird stuff, man. And throughout this whole thing, I was like, I just don't like her attitude. Her attitude is just, she's unappreciative. She it's my way. What about me? What about me? So I think with that, the biggest villain of this series to me, people would say Jordan. People were like, well, Jordan is, she's the one that it was her fault breaking up. I think this was looming in the wind before even with Jordan, right? And I think they were never compatible from the beginning. Even when they went to therapy, Harper was like, when Robyn started really just pouring it out and telling her how she really feels, Harper was like, man, I feel attacked. I didn't know this. I didn't know none of this, right? I didn't know you felt like this. It was transparency. The transparency was never there. If Robyn was more transparent in a way where he can understand it, because sometimes with men, if you're transparent, but if you're doing it in a way where how Robyn's doing it, where you're not saying nothing, you're just looking like, oh, okay, I expect you to know how I feel. He don't know that, right? He doesn't know that. That's the problem. So, again, guys, that's my review of this series. And I know it's going to spark some debate of who the villain was. Some people are saying Harper. Some people are saying Robyn. Some people are saying Jordan, right? At the end of the day, there's a theme and a lesson that can be learned from this whole thing of if you're married, keep the spark, right? Trying to figure out what the spark is. And I give Murch and Candace credit because they found their spark. Because Candace, when she went to go see them fight, she was like, "Oh, this is turning me on." I'm like, "That's the spark. That's the spark there. You guys didn't have that spark at first, right? The spark is leaving." And I think everybody, the spark was leaving, and the flames were there. I think with Harper and Robyn, their spark was already just fizzled out, probably year 2 or 3, right? And they're just going with the motions. So that's my review of The Best Man, the last chapter, guys. This review is kind of a longer review that I've ever really did. I just wanted to get out there, man, and put this out there, man. So, like I said, if you're new to my channel, welcome to the family. Like I said, hit the subscribe button. And hey, the intro beat, shout out to my guy Cole Beats. Hey, if you need anything, man, check him out. He has a YouTube channel, Off the Chain. But anyway, guys, I'm out. Jocko Kumu Reviews. Oh, by the way, I will be on Courtney Michelle's show to discuss this particular topic, guys. So if you don't have anything to do, go check out the video. I'll leave a link in the description. But guys, hey, peace. You guys have a happy new year, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.